The green player brings his troops next to the blue, Australian turtle player, and so do I. Will the situation turn into Russian roulette? We're about to find it out soon. Welcome to the Risk Forever channel, guys. The channel which shares the most relevant tips and tricks on how to win at Risk, and improve your rank in no time. Subscribe to the channel and you won't even see how fast you will become so much better at Risk. Push that notification bell to see new videos first. This is your host Champion Ever. And today we're playing another 6-player fixed card game on the classic Risk map. I'm the red player in this game. And it seems I've got the god spawned for South America. I'll be honest, I feel blessed. And I appreciate the blue player trying to waste his troops there. But in order to be safe, I think that will require for me to wait for one more turn before I take over South America. Because the white and pink players will receive additional troops as the last players, and who knows, they might decide to contest for South America with me. The blue player as the first player decided to go for Australia, which actually wasn't the greatest choice for him because the black player had more troops in Australia than he did. So that was a big gamble for the blue player to decide going for this continent, and it seems that isn't going to work out well, as the black player is clearly a favorite now in the fight for Australia looking at the situation in it, and it's pretty obvious. Though at the same time the black player should be really careful before he actually decides to blitz blue, because if he does, Australia could be potentially very easily cleared out to the green player. So if I was the blue player, I would be very careful. Anyway, as you have seen, I sent alliance requests to each of the players. One thing, I want to be safe taking over South America and actually holding it, to make sure that none of the players break through it. And another reason is that I would be able to see which players would be willing to communicate, not necessarily to work together, but at the very least would create an ability to maintain connection. As if a player doesn't accept an alliance request, there won't be a way for you to send attack requests to each other and thumbs ups and thumbs downs whether to confirm or deny them. Well, in games without alliances you could try using emotes for communication, but not every player has them. And also for the most part only less experienced players won't accept alliance requests. More experienced players understand that alliances don't really matter, and accept them just simply for communication purposes, and also that other players wouldn't break through them. But of course every player is different, and there are exceptions out from rules, and some players will just simply prefer to play without having alliances and or just simply accepting a single alliance at a time. Currently only the white and blue players have accepted my alliance requests, and all other players are ignoring them so far. So basically that makes me the most sense to try looking forward to work together with them and look forward to beat all other players before we get into a 3-player endgame. Like black, green and pink don't even bother to accept my alliance requests. Why would I prefer keeping them in the game over blue or white? Absolutely not. The exception could be if some of these players would be fighting each other and giving me a good diplomatic advantage in a 3 or 4 player situation. In that case it might be more worth it to keep them than some of my allies, if I find that these allies are super passive or for the most part just simply neutral. Another exception would be if eliminating an ally would allow me to get some sort of advantage, for example a better position on the board, like getting a super great strategic board position. But if not, then ultimately I want to keep my allies, trying to develop some strong relationships with them which could lead us teaming up together in the late game. Always remember that diplomacy is another part of the game. Now my first initial reaction to blue and white accepting my alliance requests. First, when it comes to white, I see that was a really good strategic reason for him to accept my alliance request because I had god spawned for South America. And since he wanted to go for North America, he basically understood that the only way he would hold it is if I am a good neighbor to him. So I still like and appreciate that the white player accepted my alliance request, but at the same time I understand that was a really good strategic reason for that, so as of now I'm not putting too much of hope in him to eventually work together. Then when it comes to the blue player impression, the blue player made me a much better impression. He moved out from South America, allowing me to capture much more easily. Well, obviously he didn't have that many troops in it, but at the very least that was something in my favor without the blue player asking anything in return. But even that small thing basically made the blue player to appreciate him the most out of all of these players. And at the same time I predict him to be more of a less experienced player, so I know that might actually make me to get a strategic advantage out of that. Basically to take advantage out of the blue player in some way for the most part. So far I'm really looking for that. I really want to develop a great relationship with him, to make him trust me, so that could lead us to working together against other players later in the game, or the most ideally the blue player making some dumb moves in my favor, like over-attacking another player when he shouldn't, and breaking the balance of the game, so then I'd easily win. So far I'm in the greatest position because I'm the only player to hold a continent. But overly South America doesn't give that much advantage because it only gives 2 troops. But still, if I have to for a while no other player gets a continent, then I should definitely be stronger in comparison to other players. When it comes to blue and black, obviously they're fighting for Australia. But when it comes to other players, I think the pink player is sabotaging all of them. First of all, he was very undecided whether to go for Europe or Africa and prevented the green player from going for the other one. And then despite having a great way to move out troops from North America to the continent he wants to for, he didn't do that either. So that's good for me. But when it comes to white and green, they should definitely not be thankful to the pink player at all. Now for a little bit I want trying to build good relationship with the blue player. To make him believe that I'm a good friend just to take good advantage out of it later. Well, in case he's actually a lower ranked player like I predict, but if he's actually experienced, then that still would be to start establishing good relationship with him and look forward to work on other players later in the game together. So what I told him is to attack black. This is to show him that I want to help him out when it comes to dealing with him. The blue player told me to attack black as well, and I responded with thumbs up. Then my turn came and I ended up wiping out the black player's territories next to me in Europe and Asia. Obviously that's a really small first step, but at the very least I'm showing something, and the blue player should understand that, and appreciate me more than any other players. Also that's in some way to give him back, to show him appreciation because he was nice to move his troops out from South America. So far that was mutually beneficial in a way. And real alliances should basically be this way. Hilariously, once I started targeting the black player's territories, the black player decided to accept my alliance request. Which has actually surprised me out of blue. That was super unexpected. But I mean, if he wants to be my ally, then that's good for me. I'll have an alliance with everyone I can, so at the very least I'd be able to communicate with that player, and that it would actually decrease the chances of me getting attacked by that player. Or I mean, if the black player likes so much me capturing his territories, then no problem, I can capture even more territories of yours, sir. Well, in this case it's not really clear yet whether him or blue will prevail in Australia, so I don't want to burn any bridges. Obviously it would be better if the blue player prevailed because I already established some better relationship with him. But in case that will be black, then I should be ready to start developing good diplomacy with him. And this is why I don't want to target the black player anymore after wiping his one-troop territories out from next to me, as it could be possible that I'll have to work with him later in the game, or at the very least that he wouldn't be working with another player on me. So I have to really evaluate the whole situation. And alright, basically the dilemma solved itself because the black player just simply flags the game and takes the last available place. Now you might think that it might be really dumb, absolutely ridiculous. But I started having really strong gut to actually move out to Europe. The green player didn't bring his troops into it, so it might be my last chance. because what I see that otherwise I'd be just simply stuck in South America being sandwiched in between other players. Even if nobody took over Africa and I'd be able to attack territories there, or just simply still in Asia, I'd be still only receiving 2 troops for South America, meaning that other stronger players would dictate the game, and it wouldn't depend much on me. While if I successfully hold Europe, I receive +5 additional troops per turn and I'll be guaranteed to be one of the strongest players. So in this case I'm completely abandoning South America, as that would obviously be super dumb to expect holding both of them at once. And right there I'm letting the white player know that he could take over South America himself if he wants to, by telling him to attack my territory if he needs to. I mean, I'd rather give it away to my ally than some random person who doesn't even bother to accept my alliance request. But it seems the white player doesn't even want it and proceeds blitzing other players' troops in North America. Which on one hand could be very risky because he's wasting so many troops and is not guaranteed getting good blitzes at all. But I mean, he successfully takes over it and he will be receiving even 5 additional troops per turn instead of 2, which is a much better deal. And obviously it will be super hilarious if I end up holding both Europe and South America at once. I expect to only hold Europe and somebody to take over South America. Well, the pink player has been suspiciously lurking in Africa, so let's see what he does. He breaks into South America, which is completely fine, and especially since I even clearly showed that I don't need it anymore by completely abandoning it in full. But he decides to split 5 troops in Africa and actually break into Europe as well, which is actually a very bold move because he completely ruins all the chances to have any good diplomacy with me. So by breaking into Europe he wins a small battle, but actually will lose the whole war. So unless other players will help him out to deal with me and eliminate me from the game completely. As otherwise if I stay in a 3-player situation, then that would be super hard for him to turn me into his favor. Differently, I'd be looking forward to team up with another player on him. So if you start a war with another player, then make sure you'd be able to defeat him easily, or at the very least he wouldn't be a serious threat to strongly retaliate back. In this case the pink player unleashes my 11-troop army and I could easily retaliate to him back, and lucky for him that I do not have a set at 4 cards, because I could even completely eliminate him from the game. So that tells me that the pink player definitely must be not experienced player. Now that was definitely a donkey move for the blue player to blitz the black player's stack, because by doing so he wasn't able to trade in a set in the same turn, and now he became an easy target to be eliminated with even 5 cards. So the blue player is definitely a lower ranked player, which I'm looking forward to take advantage of, so if he actually manages to survive in the game. As for example, the green player could eliminate him now. But also the green player would have to go through my 4-troop army, which wouldn't be the most ideal. To be honest, the green player could easily eliminate me from the game too, so that doesn't help me that I do not have a set at 4 cards. But at the very least for this turn he decides to go for Africa and splits his troops into 2 armies, so that's some sort of relief. Actually that's the best possible outcome to me, the green player taking over Africa, and especially putting some more troops in North Africa, as now he unintentionally provides me protection against the pink player, and when it comes to the pink player himself, he completely gets trapped in South America. I successfully retake over Europe, and the green player even accepts my alliance request, probably wanting that we would be good neighbors to each other. Now the white player trades in a set and adds his troops next to the pink player. The pink player gets completely crushed, and all what I have to say to him is get wrecked, noob. You could either have Africa or Europe, but you decided to go into this South American death trap yourself. Luckily I stay in the game myself. But that's why I've been working so hard to establish good diplomacy with other players well. Also now I wanted to fortify my troops back to Northern Europe, to put them in European turtle position. But I thought screw that and all the turtling strategies, and let's actually be real deal. Let's actually have an interesting game, not the one which would be super boring to watch. I don't want to bore my opponents out, so that they would just simply quit the game, eventually botting out. Now the green player tells me to attack the white player, and that's actually interesting. The green player proceeds attacking the white player himself first, and that's actually super rare nowadays. Usually other players want you to attack another player yourself first, and then they do not proceed attacking that player themselves. But the green player actually shows real intention, and that really makes me think what I want to do. As technically the white player became my best ally once he eliminated the pink player from the game, but at the same time it wasn't too big of a deal for me anymore, as the pink player would have been stuck in South America and would have been forced to either attack green or the white player himself, or just simply stay trapped. So the white player technically eliminated a potentially upcoming threat and at the same time got South America for himself, so he could have just done that for his own benefit. Ideally I wanted to wait for another turn before breaking through the white player, just to give him a chance to retaliate to the green player, and especially if he had a set, but I still decided to go breaking through the white player immediately just because that opportunity wouldn't be gone, as if I didn't break white, the green player might have not taken me very seriously anymore. And also the blue player wanted me to attack the white player, so I mean if even two other players want me to attack the third player, then I'll rather listen to them. Either that, or work against them with that third player. In this case I didn't want the game to stalemate, so I decided to attack the player which is already wanted to be attacked by other players, basically for more some sort of guarantee. Unfortunately I had to take that bullet by white myself, since the white player had a set at 3 cards, but that might have been really good for improving the diplomacy with green and blue. At the very least the white player got a bad blitz and I still hold Europe, but that could have gone way much worse. So sorry white for betraying you if you're watching this video. But basically the blue player made the final call towards influencing my opinion by telling me to attack you as well. And now since the white player will be basically holding grudge the entire game on me, I should make sure that he gets eliminated from the game next. If I get into a 3-player situation with him, then that's really big chance that I lose. So basically I shouldn't be starting any other conflict with another player before I deal with white. Now the situation doesn't really go as I expected, and I see the green player is trying to be sneaky by not guarding North Africa anymore, so that the white player would be able to break through Europe easily. Of course the green player would get invaded himself, but he'd only lose 3 troops for Africa while I even 5 for Europe. Plus the green player is a much stronger player than I am currently. Fortunately, in order to be safe I was able to trade in a set at 3 cards, even though I only had to take 6 troops and at the same time use my wild card. But if I hadn't traded in a set, that would have been likely that even the green player himself eliminated me from the game, as his army was only directed to attack me. But basically betrayals are always expected, they happen and will keep happening, and obviously each player plays in his own best interest. As you can see, since the green player moved out from North Africa to stop shielding me, I decided not to be that aggressive towards pushing the white player aggressively anymore, so I just simply put my troops on Iceland instead of Greenland. But now the green player seems to have redeemed himself by actually breaking through the white player when white fortified his biggest stack next to me. So we might continue working with the green player together once again. And especially since the blue player turned out to be a total scumbag. He was telling me to attack white and I did, but he actually never attacked the white player himself. In fact, he might be even telling for white to attack me and green. The blue player might think that he's a super good manipulator, but that's actually going to backfire him in the 3-player situation once the white player gets eliminated from the game. As while I had doubts before, now the blue player made it straightforward to me that in the 3-player situation I should be working with green. So unless the green player decides to betray me, which I think is super unlikely since we've been working together so well so far, the blue player can get prepared to get destroyed next. Now the blue player didn't even attack a single troop territory of white, choosing to attack a territory of mine, so the blue player is not even hiding anymore that he doesn't give a thing about actually attacking white. Actually, an interesting thing I've noticed, the white player even sent an angry emote once the blue player ended the turn, after adding more troops next to Middle East, taking over it, which was the territory of mine, but actually neither breaking through the green player nor through me. So I'll repeat myself here, but I think that's very likely that the blue player keeps sending attack requests for the white player to attack me as well, but since he didn't follow that himself, that should have made the white player mad, and this is my guess on the green player sending that angry face emote. So the blue player is actually burning so many bridges at once. Lol. Even if the white player survives somehow, I don't think the blue player be that good off the diplomacy wise either, because he's really annoying white as well. So just the white player is still more mad on me and green, and he shows that by breaking through both of us, as obviously we were the ones to break through him ourselves. But basically the blue player showed to white that he cannot be trusted either. So if either me or green gets eliminated in the 4-player situation, that could be still possible that the white player wouldn't necessarily work with blue. Now I have a 10 troop set at 3 cards, and I decided to immediately trade it in, just to be super safe again. The green player has been sneaky with some of his moves, and his 51 troop army looks scary, so I do not want to be taking any chances of getting eliminated before my next turn. As who knows, maybe the blue player finally would have decided to attack me, and if he had blitzed one of my stacks, then it would have been so easy for green to finish me off by taking another stack down and eliminating me from the game for 4 cards. So it's better to not take these unnecessary risks. And now I decided to be sneaky myself. To use the continental drift strategy. To move out from Europe to North America. Because what I saw is, if I guard the Alaska and Greenland borders, then if the white player still wanted to break through me, then he'd have to go through the green player's holds first, and if he tried breaking with only new troops, he wouldn't make it to me just simply breaking through green, and this is what exactly happened right now. The green player had the troop advantage, but now I might even be able to catch up to him. Also, North America is a much better position to have than Europe. I'll have to guard only 3 borders instead of 4, but since the green player will want to hold South America, that will only be 2 borders for me. At the same time, I'm thinking long term when we get into a 3-player situation. As if me and green will want to team up on blue, we might end up doing the deadliest trap strategy for the Australian turtle player blue. To end up doing the strategy in which one of the players take over both of the Americas and guards only from Kamchatka, while the other one takes over Europe and Africa and guards only Ukraine and Middle East. In this sounds, I'd say being both of the Americas player better, because you'd only have to guard 1 border in comparison to Europe's and Africa's combined 2, and basically if the Australian player wants to get out of trap, then he's more likely to go through one of these 2 borders, than trying to go through the North American player, which would require blitzing his whole stack. Well, one of the advantages the European African player gets is that he receives 1 more troop than the both Americas player does, since Africa gives +3 troops while South America only 2, while North America and Europe are troop-wise equal. We finally got into that 3-player situation with the green player deciding to eliminate the white player completely. And that's a perfect opportunity for us to set up the deadliest trap strategy for the blue player. But the thing is, I have no idea whether or not the green player knows that strategy. So now if I take South America from him, he could take it very personally and even break the alliance with me, so I'd rather not risk it. But I'm still showing him the first step towards that by fortifying all of my troops on Kamchatka and not guarding any other borders at all. I told the green player to attack my territory if he needs to. And by that I want to indicate that he would take over Europe. And if he does, then I'll be taking over South America, which I think will be a pretty good deal for both of us, and I don't think he'd break the alliance with me anymore if I took South America this way. And I mean, the green player would be a complete donkey if he started to attack me now after we've worked so well the entire game, while the blue player tried to be a manipulating jerk. As you can see, the green player didn't take over Europe, but he went with a thing which I like even 100 times better. He fortified his army next to the blue player. And by that he's kinda literally asking the blue player to slam blitz him. And I should have just simply allowed that to happen. But that wouldn't have been an interesting ending, so I decided to double down on the green player's strategy and bring my biggest stack next to the blue player too. So to play Russian roulette in a way. To let the blue player to decide which stack to hit himself. Or just simply still stay properly and not do the self-destructing move. Either way it seems like it made me get the thumbnail of the game. So thank you very much for that, green. Now with the blue player moving into Australia and locking his army, I'm kinda afraid the green player could decide to betray me, and especially since he's at 4 cards. So I'm gonna admit it, that was a smart move by blue. But it seems like the green player doesn't have a set and just simply goes to take over Europe. So I'll just simply take South America from him in order to balance him out, and hopefully he'll start crushing some troops into the blue player first. As basically that's another step when you end up putting another player into the deadliest trap. Now the blue player tries being manipulative again by telling me to attack green while he wouldn't do a thing himself. And I assume he should have told the same thing to the green player as well. I can obviously attack green, but only in the sort of way I want to myself, which is just simply taking South America from green, so we would still be receiving the same amount of troops each. And now if the blue player wants to be serious, then he should show me the first step towards actually attacking green himself, as currently I see him as a total scumbag which should not be trusted at all. So let's say, blue, what will you do now? He fortifies his troops out from the locked place, and in this case this move is favorable to me, as the green player had an upper hand to betray me better. And I mean to eliminate me from the game, but I think that would just simply result in the blue player winning the game, but not necessarily the green player would realize that. And now come on, the blue player keeps spamming that he wants to self-destroy himself on me. But OMG guys. I cannot believe it, but the green player actually goes to eliminate the blue player from the game completely. The blue player must have sent the same attack requests that he's sorry but he needs to attack the green player's territory too. That must have pissed the green player off. Lol, that's the best day of my life, guys. The scumbag blue gets 3rd, I'll take the win, and my ally green will get an alliance victory, aka the 2nd place. All I have to do is to wipe out the whole board now and I win the game. Thank you, green, for such a great game. I'm sending you a heart because you were such a great ally. And now that's a GG. Let's check out the ranks of our opponents. This video was to all robot voice video fans of the channel. I hope this nostalgia trip brought you some good memories. And let me know if you want to see more.